Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with California Ag Network, reporting to you from the annual Tree and Vine Expo at the Stanislaus County Fairgrounds. We had a great turnout today of growers, PCAs, private applicators from all over, and a great lineup of speakers here, including Derek Millsaps from USDA Wildlife Services. A particular topic of interest that he shared about today was large wildlife threats for growers, one of them being a relatively new or recent critter that's been invading the waterways around the valley here called Nutria, something a lot of growers now I think have heard of, but don't know necessarily if they have it or how to identify it, and wanted to talk to Derek here about if you can explain some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you, Matthew. So the Nutria were originally here back in the 1900s. They were brought in for the fur trade. After the fur trade started to fall apart, some places just get rid of them, let them loose, or sometimes you even have ones that escape. So we thought they were eradicated in California until recently, a few years ago. They were doing some, I think it was some beaver work, and we accidentally caught a Nutria. At that point, the specialists didn't even know really what it was. So after talking with some people, they found out that it was a very bad non-native invasive species that can do detrimental harm to marshes. It eats the vegetation down so that the soil finally starts to erode. And once you used to have beautiful, pristine wetlands, are now just mucky, messy water areas that are very difficult to walk in and for most wildlife to survive in. So getting these invasive species out of there, an eradication program is what's going on right now in the state. We've removed about 320 Nutria so far. They've mainly been using cage traps. They've done some shooting as well, but they haven't used any other tools as of this point right now. So they're just focusing on the cage traps, and it's been pretty successful so far. But in the Chesapeake Bay, they used a couple other different types of traps, like conibears and padded leg holds as well. So I guess time will tell if they need to maybe use something else. With the full eradication project, they need to remove every single one. These Nutria, they reproduce 3 times a year, so they can have 12 to 15 babies a year. So one of the things that comes up a lot is people say, well, what is this going to cost me? Well, luckily right now with this project, it's not going to cost you anything. Contact your local biologist, warden with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, or your local wildlife specialist. Have them come out, ID it, see if this really is a Nutria. It could be a beaver or a muskrat, you know. Well, they're going to come out and they're going to look for scat. Their scat's very unique. It's 2 inches long. It floats because of the high fiber that they're consuming in their food source. So they're going to look for those things that you may not know. But it's not going to cost you anything. So have them come out, check it out. It could be like detrimental to your property if you don't do that.
Right. So if you're a grower and you see something like that might be a Nutria, be sure to call the Wildlife Services of USDA or your local trapper, right?
Local, yeah, wildlife specialist. Most counties have a specialist in there. If not, California Department of Fish and Wildlife biologist or warden would be there to help you as well.
And then how does it compare? You know, if maybe they think they're seeing a beaver, but it looks kind of different. How are they tell the difference between the two?
Well, the beaver and the Nutria are eating different things. So the beaver, they're eating the cambium of the tree. They're going to have different signs as well. Their tracks are different. They're not going to have the same scat. But the beavers don't go and eat the vegetation down to nothing and make, like I said, this erodes everything away. There's no more root system there, so it's really mucky. The beavers don't do that. The beavers are there eating the soft trees, and they're not eating the same kind of food.
Okay, well, good to know. So take note of that. If you see something, be sure to call and read more about it in our ag publications: American Vineyard, Pacific Nut Producer, California Fresh Fruit, Vegetables West, California Dairy Magazines. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.